because the patron saint of the land is the patron saint of orphans as well and widows, right? So our cleanse was taking orphans in from all over the world, not just from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
See, they don't tell you about the Asian ones. And the Asian ones we made pacts with. That's why you have people that look like us with Lee in their name. Verdi Lee, Bobby Lee, Henry Lee, Arthur Lee, Jackie Lee. That's because that's the agreement with them to use their conjure to help break free from the oppressors.
Hmm.
So they came with something called the Sun Wukong key. The Sun Wukong key is also called the Congo key. There's a Congo basin on every major landmass. The Congo key is also called the primate key or the master key. It was the key of Enki, the rulership key of the earth on the Y chromosome lineage.
Okay.
The structure was the women was the lawgivers, the men was the enforcers of the law. And
Wow.
so in order to be the enforcer of the law, you had to have the Congo key,
And
which is
what
the
was
master
that?
key.
What, I mean, was that knowledge or was that something?
It's a form of knowledge.
Okay.
It's a form of knowledge. It's how all of the clans around the world was all practicing under the same ancient practices, but now we in modern times and we need to get back to the ancient practices to overthrow the modern system that has ran amok and led us astray.
So the master, those who had like the master key system, was that like from like was it the guy was named Charles Hanel? Was that having taken some ancient knowledge from us and creating what he called the master key system?
So when anybody that put out a book that say master key on it is coming out of a Masonic lodge.
Okay.
They have codes in those books. And the only way to know what the code is to read the book.
Yeah, the master key system. Yeah. I was wondering if they had gotten that from us though. Was it something that was not
All that's our shit.
okay?
The Masonic Lodge used to be our rites of passage program for the royal families of the earth.
Wow.
But when they infiltrated the lodge, they used it to oppress us.
They turned our own knowledge against us by keeping it from us, learning it, and then use. Okay.
Yeah. So they keep us ignorant while they know what's going on. That's what they call in the lodge the fiat lux.
Fiat lux, Lux.
Yeah. That means the decree of light. We know it as the biblical term, let there be light. And the light is the Promethean flame. And you know the story of Prometheus who stole the flame from heaven and imparted it onto man. That's wisdom.
Right.
Because what he's talking about when he climbed up to the heavens, it was the rise of the Kundalini energy and the sacred secretion. And once you become aware, you impart the knowledge onto the people who's willing to receive it.
So here's a question: what were we doing before 1492, and how did we dress? You know.
When you see those, we wore a lot of bison leather was our standard, and we also use cotton. They talk about the cotton gin that somebody we've been using cotton gins for thousands of years, so I don't know where they get that shit from. There's some plantation owner created the cotton gin. Right. That's something that our people was using long before they came over here. Right. So our clothes was cotton, and those in the north in the colder climates use furs and pelts for clothes.
Now I've seen pictures where we had also I've seen pictures of giant women, melanated women, standing over small, I guess regular size, um, non-melanated women, as if that and that these and perfectly proportioned, but big, and we were told that at the time back then that, and I don't know how true this is, that the Shirley Temple curls were created by Moorish, Moors, or women, and would put them on the Albion women's hair that were in their in their control, and it was a sign that they had, I think if I'm correct, that they were no longer like prostitute. You know how they had them in the working in the brothels or whatever, and they would put the Shirley Temple curls in their hair, show them how to dress and all this stuff. But the women were giants. I mean, like, you've seen pictures of Queen Khalifa, and she was a giant. Can you talk about, because you see some of those buildings from the World's Fair we're talking about, the doors were massive. Why were the doors that big?
Before the grid flipped, the people grew much, much bigger because, okay, so our synthesis of oxygen right now is a single oxygen molecule, O1, a single molecule, just oxygen. But before the grid flip, excuse me, the upper atmosphere or the ozone layer, it was down here on the surface of the earth, meaning the air was thicker with oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And it made us grow into a different height than we do now. So being 7 foot tall was not a far stretch back
then. And so that's are some of the, I know they found lots of graves with giant remains. They call them giant remains, large skulls.
Yeah, a lot of them are Anunnaki too, because they pretty tall.
Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Now those are okay. So when were they here?
Oh, they've been back and forth for millions of years. But they used to didn't get involved in what was going on Earth until they decided to take over.
That's why that movie or that series I told you on Hulu, that because it has Valiant Thor in it and everything, and we heard all about that stuff, and I'm like, wow, they put this in that series, in episode season 10, episode 7, 8, 9. It's just they're just filling it all out. And the interesting part, they'll see it. I don't know. I won't even tell what that is because let them go look at it. I don't want to be a spoiler, but you got to look at it. Again, I keep saying thank you to Sister Perry LL because she was the one that told me about it. And I said, I'll take a couple of days and look at it. I watched about 40 minutes each. I watched all 4 of them. I was like, I couldn't stop watching it because I already knew about a lot of this stuff from the so-called truther community. And here it is right here on this thing. But if you're thinking about American Horror Story, I would be thinking about ghosts and goblins, And speaking of, werewolves, tell us about vampires versus werewolves and when you told me about us being the werewolves.
Right. So the vampires is the ones who suck our blood. So those were the ones using the Babylonian money magic and blood rite rituals to subjugate us. Well, we was the ones fighting them. And some of our clans wore wolf pelts. So we were the ones that wear the wolves, and they was the ones sucking the blood.
So the true, what we see in the movie type
exaggeration
is an exaggeration. These are just men wearing wolf pelts when they had to go against these vampires, and they depicted it, in movies,
Right. So the ones they call vampires is the ones who own slaughterhouses now for bloodletting rituals.
That's meat where they kill the meat.
We didn't do that on this land. Right? That was prohibited on this land. No mass slaughter of any animals on this land for any purpose. That's why every family had a family farm. Even if you lived in the city, you went out to the farm to go get your fresh meats. Right? But we didn't have cities. We called our cities towns. Cities is municipalities with a articles of incorporation. It's a corporate entity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We didn't have that. We settle our land according to the people that all feel the same way, normally form into a village. And the village will set up towns and countries to an area to feed the town. The towns were generally made in a circular motion, moving to the center. And the center is where everything with the children took place at the town center. That's so that we can always, can't nobody get out of there with none of our kids. None of our babies can be taken from the downtown area. That's where all of the mothers congregated at. Well, now what they call it,
they got the squares.
Right, but now they call it City Hall. City Hall was the meeting place for the women in the town to look at the progress of the children to determine what we need to teach them for the development into the future. Because
So
we understood
city, though. It wasn't called City Hall though, but it's
no,
what
it was
it
used to be called the town hall.
Town hall, okay.
They even do now. They be when you hear somebody call a town hall meeting, they making fun of us.
Really?
That's a whole mockery ritual of our original custom. We doing your stuff and you can't even see it.
Wow.
It's all a slap in the face to the sisters. Because they controlled the town hall meetings. Just like now, we calling for the three chiefs. Larry got to speak. He had to speak to the. He don't have to tell me nothing. He got to answer to the big mamas on the land. They want to know why we ain't got shit. We want to know where is our wealth. We want to know who's subjugating our children and how we gonna get over this obstacle in order to move into a functional future. He got to answer that. That's his job. As the chairman of the board, that's his job. And he got to have two witnesses, one blue, one red. West Coast witnesses took you, and the Midwest witnesses Angel Bay. Because you had to have one of the witnesses that was right up under him.
So if someone had just asked in the chat, who are the three kings? That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Everything that we do, we have to have a witness of the righteous to verify that we was acting according to the conditions available on the land for her to do what's right.
So why were they arrested or kidnapped? And why? I mean, and for so many years.
It was a COINTELPRO operation.
Right.
You gotta remember, COINTELPRO's mission is to take the leaders off the land. If the leaders ain't on the land, what's gonna happen to the people? They all go look, people be talking about I don't need no leader, right? You hear it all the time. That's dogma. Because they same ones that saying they don't need a leader, they either in the church or they religiously following somebody that they seeing on TV every week.
Mm-hmm.
They need a leader. And leaders are not made, they born. Spiritual hierarchy makes them fit to rise through the ranks. Most loved, most respected on the land by the people of the land and those who foreign to the land. Most loved, most respected, and then your natural skill set. What can you do? What did you train your whole life for? Most people don't even know. Some of these sisters went to school to be a nurse, but when they got into the hospital, they decided that this ain't for me. But they got nursing training. They supposed to be doulas. It's not compatible once they get in there and see how the medical field works. It's not tolerable. They can't take it.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be a doula. Right? The doula has always got with her a midwife, which is trained in whatever the modern form of medicine is for the day. But she's still practicing the ancient birthing rituals for the children to come back in and to maintain as much of their memory as they can.
When the babies come in, yeah.
Right. So it takes us years to break free from the mental slavery. Right. That's why Marty say, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind because it's the internal work. But nobody's teaching us what this internal work is and how to do it. They just tell you to do the inner work. Take accountability. How can you take accountability when somebody forced you to do something? And the force don't always have to be at gunpoint. It could be because they limit your options.
Mm-hmm.
Then you forced to operate with limited options. That means whatever you choose to do, it's going to work to the benefit of the one who gave you the option. Because he's not going to never give you the option to benefit you and yours, but he's going to only give you the option that benefit him and his. Big Mama say, leave no stone unturned, so I ain't leaving none unturned. I'm going to tell the whole lie they told, I'm going to unravel it right here for us. You know, and it take me to repeat it 1,000 times, and that's what make me have to say to Taj, man, how did you do it for, because I can't do it for 40 years. I can't do it for 40 years, 50 years.
Do we have, when it comes to time, what are we looking at? I mean, you keep hearing this is imminent. The change this is imminent, but how
it's happening in real time.
Huh?
We train not to see what's taking place in real time for what it is. We can only see it when it's done.
Okay.
And that's what makes us become impatient. And that's why they came up with this fast food culture, so that we can want everything right now, so we have no patience to fight in the protracted struggle. This has been a protracted struggle. We've been doing this war been going on a minimum of 500 years on this land. The Inca kids was fighting it over there for 1,500, 2,000 years before it ever came over here.
Where's over there?
What they call Africa. Right.
But they were those are the others, and they're not the ones that were where we are.
No,
yeah.
we different tribes. We kindred tribes, but we different tribes.
Okay.
We used to intermarry with them, just like we used to intermarry with Asia on the West Coast.
Mm.
We used to go trading with them by ship, and they come trade with us by ship, just as well as Asia.
Here's my question. How did we go from being as affluent and have build these palatial buildings, and even go back and look at what happened in Oklahoma when they, so-called Black Wall Street and all that. How do we go from there to now, then going backwards to looking like bedraggled, on the cotton field, out in the cotton field? How did we go from that, from an Atlantis type of existence?
Most of that is propaganda.
Okay, so we never.
So when you see pictures of us wearing potato sacks,
mm-hmm.
That's propaganda. When you see pictures of us wearing feathers and moccasins, that's more closer to how we work.
So we had feathers and moccasins, and then we had castles, and we wore feathers and moccasins. Okay.
Yeah, that's our culture. Our culture didn't have nothing to do with Mario Brutini shoes, Stacey Adams. That's their culture.
Mm-hmm.
That they brought over here to influence us to follow their ways. We didn't wear suits with lapels. Ours buttoned straight up the middle with no collars.
Mm.
Or we had pullovers.
And I guess we knew to keep our feet in contact either with the land or with something that was natural.
That's the reason why we wore moccasins.
Right.
Right. And the moccasins, the soles could either be hard leather or wood.
But it was natural.
But it was natural.
Mm.
And the shoemaker was a valued profession. Now, a shoemaker don't mean nothing. We got factories that put them out about 1,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
But the shoemaker was like the iron workers,
Craftsmen. They were craftsmen, skilled craftsmen.
And they had a unbreakable workers union until they started murdering them.
To take it over.
Yeah. So when you see somebody that look like us and their last name is Schumann, mm-hmm. They was the shoe man. Mm-hmm. They was the ones who made the shoe. So they started calling them shoemen.
Is it true that we didn't used to have what we call last names anyway?
No, we had what we call nicknames. Like we would be born with a name, and then as we grow up, we be given another name based on our characters. Like we got Little Squirrel, Boogaloo, Bebe, Shay Shay, all them nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we would go by the nickname would be the name we called by. But only Big Mama, Mama, and Pops can call us by our birth name because that's sacred.
Yeah, okay, but last names, like you said.
No, we didn't have surnames. They called surnames.
We had descriptions, like you said, if you were John's son, that's it, you end up being the Johnsons, or
yep.
or shoe. You said the shoemaker or
yep. People that Smith, like I got a guy I went to school with named Ronnie Goldsmith. That's what their family was originally doing. They was gold smelters.
Okay.
Right, blacksmith was the ones who worked the iron, the cast iron. They the ones made the pots and the skillets, the cast iron cauldrons and the skillets. right? So we had different names for describe your profession.
Right.
But
Like
when they
my name was my birth surname was Dyer. So
DYER,
yes.
yep. So your family probably was the ones who dyed the fabrics.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all would have been the Dyer family.
Mm-hmm.
So when the people over here refer to y'all in the next city, when you go over there, you take this garment, these white clothes over here, tell the dyers, I need red, blue, green, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they know when they come to town, hey, where do I find the Dyer family? Oh, that family lived down there. When they came from Europe, they used those as our surnames because they had surnames. A surname is a title of nobility. Everything we did with a spiritual connection, which would make the Dyer family would be the priests who operated the dye. You know, that would be their family function,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the ones who was the shoemen, the ones who made the shoes, their family would be the priests of the shoes, right? Everything we did, we had a priesthood and a royal family attached to it. That way, because all after so long, a royal family gonna get so big, everybody gonna be related. That's how we was over here. And sometimes two brothers will fall out and they'll go separate ways. Big mama say, well, you go to the south and you go to the north, and I'll see y'all at the family picnic. Y'all just don't bring that bullshit back here. Right? So when we come back to Big Mama house, we civil.
Mm-hmm.
We got our own territory, our own vine and fig tree, as Noble Drew Ali say.
Yeah.
But now they got us operating in a system that exploits the organic culture of the people and uses it as a weaponized tool to undermine the people. So they weaponized our culture against us. And if they catch us restoring our culture, they murder us. When you see the strange fruit that Billie Holiday sang about, those were chiefs and priestesses across the land. Those weren't haphazard hangings. And some of them, you see the tree, that's the whole family. And the most feared thing in the South was the black hen, because the black hen was the one under the white robe that led all of the rest of the white robe with the white hens.
Explain. I know what
the KKK was started by Spanish conquistador Moors. The whole dress came from Spain. And they would use the servants, the pale skins, and some of them were still blackamoors under those hoods. And they was the ones who was leading the campaign. And in the South, they derived the name called the Black Hen, because that's all they could see is a black hen from under that white robe.
I didn't know that. And so when did they take it over and start to just do it with
when they killed the Continental Congress, right? And replaced John Hanson with George Washington, who was actually Albert Pike. Not Albert Pike, Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma,
right,
with no beard. That's when they made their advance on the land.
Well. Y'all, this has been, what you think? I don't know. You think we're gonna let them go to sleep and sleep on all of this knowledge that you have shared tonight? What do you think? I want to make sure y'all
they got a lot of stuff in this last 3 hours, and
yes.
Some of them gonna listen to it 2 or 3 times because some of the stuff in here is like pretty heavy for them.
What did he say? Did he say that? Yeah. But listen, I'm putting this up. You know, Brother Rod didn't ask me to do this. I asked him for his Cash App. I want you all to support the brother. Tell us what you told me what SikApe SIKAPE stands. You said an acronym on your Cash App.
Soldiers and Illuminati are present everywhere. For a lot of the Tupac fans, don't immediately know what that means.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was Machiavelli Don Illuminati, the advisor to the chief.
All right. Yeah. So we you want to drop any secrets about him? Did he really leave the earth plane? Can you say? I don't have to say where he is, but you told me, but you have to say.
Oh, I tell you, he in Cali right now.
Oh, now he's okay.
Yeah, he said you heard a rumor I died, murdered in cold blood, dramatized, pictures of me in my final stages. You know, mama cried. That shit was fiction. Somehow we got the story twisted. Like I no longer existed, mysteriously missing. He was at the All Eyes on Me premiere with Shock G,
Ah,
and he been staying on a reservation in Arizona.
that's what you told me. Yeah.
That's what made him arrest DMX down there for going to talk to him, and they knew where he was at, but they couldn't touch him because they have exposed